Hi, and welcome to another segment of KISS. That is, Keep It Simple, Sir. Keep it simple, Senorita. Keep it simple, saints of God. Surely the house is full once again. Praise God, and we have a great subject coming at you, and the subject is ministry and art, or ministry of the artist. And today we have special guests. We will start letting them introduce themselves. We have Marcella Rowe, Vineyard Church, and also Harold Hodge, also Laurence Morgan. Starting to my right, and your left, Sister Marcella.
Hi, I'm Marcella Rowe, and my husband and I started the Vineyard back in 1990, and we moved here from Cincinnati. I right now am coordinating all the creative arts at the church, and we have artists that paint every service through worship, and there's about 15 artists that we have at the Vineyard. And so I'm just really thrilled to be here today and talk about how God uses art for the ministry.
My name is Harold Hodge. I go to Canaan Missionary Baptist Church, and I learned artists at St. Clair College. Our teacher was named Betty, and I've been painting ever since 2010, and I just love it. I'm glad to be here today to talk about art.
My name is Laurence Morgan. I'm a member of Mount Zion Transformation Ministry. I'm here today. I'm grateful and thankful to God that He allowed me to be able to visualize and do artwork. Just so glad that I get a chance to talk about it and discuss it with people and let them know how relaxing it is to their minds and stuff when they do painting. So I'm glad to be here to talk about it today.
Well, we thank God for all of our guests, but one thing you did leave out of how I was going to get in touch with you by leaving an address, a phone number.
Okay, so
937-522-1329, and you can reach me. That is my cell phone.
All right.
Anytime.
And we have all these great artists with us today, and you need them for anything, I'm sure. You can get some piece of work commissioned with either one of these great artists God has blessed. And we have some very, very talented people here, but I want to share with you, a lot of times we don't realize that art is a ministry. It's like any other gift of God. God gave the gift of art into artists. And as far back as in the book of Exodus, when God was dealing with Moses, and I want to read the excerpt a little bit from that, from the New King James Version, Exodus 31:3. And it says, "And I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom and understanding and knowledge and all manner of workmanship to design artistic work." Did you know that was in the Bible? So we know God is the giver of all.
That's
gifts.
right.
All good perfect things come from above.
Right.
So it's not by accident that we learn to have the gift as artists.
Right.
I believe those things were foreordained before we was born.
Yeah.
And we just have to walk into it. I wonder why I like that. I wonder, I sort of like that. And people began to enjoy the things that God has given you.
Yeah.
And therefore, that is a ministry.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are going to help me talk today.
Oh, yes.
That's and I was just thinking, because I was doing some study and research, and it let us know one research refers to art as being the first written communication.
yes,
Before literature, writing the word,
yes,
it was all in art.
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Those pictures and so forth, you look back in Egyptian and the tombs and the caves, and also even in the pyramids.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very much a part of God's ministry and will in the life of the world today for us to ministry. How are you going to start it out for us today, Marcella?
Well, I don't know, but of course I was elected to go first.
Well,
I just really have always had a passion for art. I was an only child, and so the only way that I could really entertain myself was to draw or to create or to do something like that. So people ask me, how long have you been doing this? Seriously, probably about 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
I really got serious with it. And that was because my aunts got sick, and I had to take care of my aunts and elderly people, and I decided that I should probably do something for myself.
Yes.
And so I signed up for a watercolor class, and the rest has been history. So right now I serve on the board of the Western Ohio Watercolor Society as vice president, and bringing in workshop people all the time to train others in the watercolor. And but my passion is really at church.
Okay.
It's really bringing the creativity, because I believe wholeheartedly that art transcends culture.
Yes.
And I believe that, when pictures are painted, they speak to you in ways that, words sometimes can't.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I paint on stage during the worship service, and I'll be painting one thing, and people come up and go, "Oh, that just so spoke to me." And it was nothing about what I was painting at all, but it so spoke to them. And I've had some pretty amazing things happen with prophetic pictures and prophetic words and things like that through the arts. So.
Yes. So it is a ministry.
It's a definite ministry, and we do things a little bit different. Not only do we paint on stage, but we really try to take it out to the neighborhoods too. So I took some of my artists out to a neighborhood, and we painted pictures of their house, and then we went and knocked on the door and gave it to them and prayed for them.
Yeah.
And
good.
so it was a way to introduce ourselves as artists, but also using our creativity as a way to share the gospel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why the Lord had this ministry and this production to be forth today.
Right.
Mr. Hodges.
I came to artists. I was watching the class. Mr. Morgan was in the class at the time, and the teacher. And I said, I wish I could do that. And I just forgot it. And the next time they had a class, I went back by the class. And I say, gosh, I wish I could do it. And the teacher say, why don't you join us? You can do it. I said, I can't even draw a straight line. I know I cannot draw no picture. And she said, do not buy anything, just come empty-handed.
Yes.
And I will support you. And ever since, that was about 7 or 8 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's relaxing. When you got a lot on your mind, just get a pencil and start drawing, and you see how relaxing it really is. And I would say it's a gift from God that I did it, because I'm doing it now, and I wouldn't do nothing else but that. I love to paint.
Yeah.
I'm not the best, but I'm where God want me to be, and I really enjoy painting.
You found the place in God that He had for you all along. You just found
and I just
that He already had it in there.
Yeah, right, and I did it. And I love God because I am a 3-year cancer survivor. And I really that's why I love to paint,
Yes.
because that's what keep me going is painting.
Yes,
Yes,
it is a blessing.
Yes.
And when we find our place in the Lord, it was there all the time. I think about that commercial about Ragu soup. It's in there.
It's in
You
there.
should know that.
Ragu.
That's right, that's what they say. So, but now I will not do nothing but do my artwork. I love to do it. I love to do it.
And Brother Morgan.
I started sketching and drawing little stuff when I was in grade school. And as I went through the years and growed up, I just liked drawing things, and it was such a relaxation in order to do it. So I didn't know too much about anything but just drawing the picture, like just a sketch or something. Anything I could look at, I could pretty much sketch it. But I couldn't draw people's and put the wrinkles in the face and the beard on them and all that stuff. And so one day I went to the drugstore, and I ran up on this man. I didn't really know who he were at the time I looked at him, but after I looked at him, the way he dressed, it kind of made me feel like he was an artist, and it happened to be Beam Davis. And I asked him, was telling him about my sketching and stuff, and he asked me, what they told me, told me how he started. He says, why don't you come by the studio sometime and take a look? And meanwhile, just go to the library and look up what you need to do. You get books in there and kind of like, it'll give you an idea, but just come by the studio. So I went by his studio, and he had some pictures drawn, but they was typed, like you typewrite something, it was typed out. And he had me to take a look at them and see if I got to identify what they were. So I looked at them, and mine clicked at exactly what it was. So he took interest in me enough to take me upstairs and show me some of the work that he had did just when he started, which didn't actually look as good as the stuff that I was doing. So that was kind of inspiring to me. I said, well, I just think I'd stay into it. And the government started a class for the senior citizens on Third Street at the Senior Citizen Building. Right. And there was a lady in there named Miss Bowman. She's a late, great Miss Bowman now because she's passed a few months ago. But in other words, she introduced herself and invited to join the class. And I started working with her, which was a great teacher. She would take time to show you what to do and explain why it had to be done this way. And I took graft to it, and I wouldn't always kind of catch on to stuff real fast. So the first picture I did was my mom. She had passed, and I did a picture of her. And when we got through with it, it was exactly just like her. Also, and later on that year, I did one of my pastors and his wife for the anniversary. I guess they was pleased with it. It was a nice picture, So I just kept doing little things, and like you say, it's a God-sent thing. I got so much relaxation in what I was doing, and most of the time late at night, I didn't want to watch TV. I'd go into the little art room that I had set up and just sit there and just come up with something, draw something, or look at something and see how close I could draw to it. And another thing I did once was they used to send like little package deals out that they try to lure you into the school. Like cartoons. Take a little test. Little cartoons, buildings, and it also had a little landscaping thing on it. They would try to get you to match this up. Otherwise, look at it, but you couldn't draw it. You just draw this and send it back in. So I drew it, sent it back in, not knowing that. Boy, they came after me tough to get into that school. But the money they was talking about getting into the school, I really couldn't afford it. So I took it over to a little friend of mine that his grandson, I said, well, because I was in my late 30s or 40s. And I said, man, they ain't put that kind of money in no class at my age. So I took it to the little kid and told him to draw it and we'll send it in. But what he did, he laid the paper over it, he drew it. He traced it. So what I told him, I said, that's good. And then I looked at it, I said, you traced this? He said, no, I ain't traced it. I said, yeah, you did. I said, well, if you that good, there's no need of you going to school. Because nobody draw a picture, look at it, and you can lay it on and everything match. I said, but he said to start laughing at me because I said, no, I said, you can't trace it, you got to freehand it and send it in. I said, because they're gonna check it to make sure, it's not a trace. Right. So he never did follow through with it, but now when he see me and see the work that I be doing, he kind of wished he'd have stuck with it and got into it because it is such a relaxing thing, and it's got to be a godsend thing because you can have your mind on other stuff and just go in and start doing it. Always you need to say a prayer or something before you do any kind of work like that. And it just kind of like falls to me when I get started. It's relaxation and just give you a peace of mind, really, for me to do it. And I do it now at home, still do it at home, and just enjoy doing it. It's just a passion for me now that I just get started doing it, and I want to do it because I enjoy doing it, and never sell any. I've sold some, but well, let's give them away. I mean, people. I just gave my brother and his wife the one I was really supposed to be done, a mirror at the church, what I was supposed to have been done. But I do know the picture. I can do it without the picture, but I had to always draw my pictures first. Then I just lay them over and just do them, make them the size I want to make them. But they wanted to pay me for the picture, but I wouldn't take no money for it, because I told me that she said she just wanted something that I had did,
Right.
And she was willing to pay me for the pictures, and but I wouldn't take no money for it. I think I did one that a motorcycle tank for a guy. That was before I started. Nothing but just sketching,
Right.
Sketched it and took a little brush and painted it, and he was real happy with it. So I wasn't gonna be, but he paid me for it. So,
So there's a message there that there's others that maybe watching to this day have a gift and don't really realize.
that's right.
You don't know until
Right.
you attempt to make
Yeah.
that difference
Yeah.
in trying. And I know a little bit. I know you also have painted for Bob Ross.
Oh, yeah.
The cards and so forth. And I know your El Camino, some other cards, you've painted little cartoons.
Oh yeah.
So you've gotten quite involved in not only one media of painting, in other words, I understand there's charcoal, I know there's the wrenches, water, the ink wash. I think I did Contique a little bit once, and you guys, I heard watercolor, I heard
Watercolor,
you
yeah.
mentioned acrylics
Yeah.
and so
Oil.
forth. Oil?
Yeah, that's
Some of you guys paint oil, use oil painting?
I did them all.
Now,
I got one of Mona Lisa
Oh, okay.
that I did in oil. That was my first one I did, which Miss Bowman was instructing me how to do it. It came out really well. It really looked great. I still got it, but it's a great picture. It stands up real good. I use only oil on it, but I have some that I kind of like medium watercolor, and might wind up putting a little acrylic with it or something, mix it up, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, let's take a look at some of these pictures that I know all of you guys brought some pictures with you today.
That's right.
And I know Marcella, being the lady, already voted you in to be the first one.
I know. Here with all these gentlemen here.
And so many are sitting back and holding back, and I know all of you guys are quite modest. And you're a lot better than what you were saying. So, Miss Marcella, let's get started with the run from Marcella.
Okay. All right, this is my big fish, and I actually caught this fish. And my husband tried to take credit for catching this fish, but he wasn't even on the boat. So went to just a meeting in Cancun. A friend invited us out to go deep sea fishing. And here it is, 8 to 10 waves, and I'm sitting on the top trying not to lose my cookies. And I'm saying, okay, God, I know that you spoke to the waves, so I'm speaking to these waves to calm down, and stuff. And I said, okay, nothing has happened. What's going on? And I felt like the Lord said, well, you just relax. You're going to have a good time. And as soon as I heard that and kind of relaxed, they said, fish on. And so they took me and they sat me down, and I caught a 7.5 foot white marlin.
Wow.
And it weighed 120 pounds.
Okay.
It took me forever to get that thing in. And they wouldn't let me stop. They kept saying, keep winding. But the neat thing about it is that it was blue.
Yes.
And I have this thing for blue,
Me
and
too.
especially lapis lazuli. It's part of the foundation of the temple. And I felt like the Lord said, I made that color for you.
Yes.
And so when that fish came in and he had the blue eyes and he was blue and white, it just broke my heart that the Lord was with me in that boat that day.
Oh, yeah.
And I thank you for sharing that, because you guys that know I wear blue all the time in my living room, my house, you heard something from Marcella that I didn't know.
Yeah.
The foundation. All right.
Yes.
And the next picture you have here for us?
Well, let's see which one. Oh, it's called Generosity. And I just wanted to depict, I painted this on stage when they were talking about generosity. And I just wanted to depict that, the Holy Spirit goes through our hands, and it doesn't matter who we're touching or being generous to or being generous with. Generosity through the Holy Spirit is right there. And so that's why I painted that one.
Beautiful. What is that? What medium is that?
That's acrylic.
Acrylics, okay. And the next picture you have on, you brought with us?
Okay, now that's my granddaughter. And she came in with that dress that she picked up at a thrift store, and she walked in the door. She says, "Grandma, I am going to put this dress on and I want you to paint me." So that's exactly what I did, and that's a pastel.
Great. Yeah, that's good.
And it really does look like her. It depicts who she is, and you know, so that doesn't, you know, I didn't paint that on stage or anything. That's just
Yeah.
me
Nice.
painting my granddaughter.
Yes, and that's acrylic or oil.
That's pastel.
Pastel, yeah.
Okay.
That's chalk, not,
Like charcoal,
not oil
yeah.
pastel.
Right.
Yes, yes. And the next shot that we have for Marcella,
Let's see, it should
be,
be,
I don't know, we don't see it yet.
okay, well, that's all right.
Okay. But and that with that baby girl there, that was a picture from a picture or something out of your mind that you painted? Or?
No, I took an actual photograph of her,
Uh-huh.
and then I painted it from a photograph.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was not something that I conjured in my mind. But I've done watercolor portraits and have sold them and have been commissioned to do them. I've done quite a few of those now and done them. What I do is that I want to do one of each one of my grandchildren for when
Okay.
they graduate.
Okay.
So I have 2 of them that have graduated high school now, and they have pictures that I have painted of them.
Okay. And mention another one of the pictures you had brought that you'd like to mention and talk about.
The other one, the one that I brought was, it's a picture of the armor of God, and the women at the church were studying the armor of God, and they wanted me to paint a picture so that they could have like a memorial to take home after their Bible study.
Yes.
And so that's what that one was.
Okay, that the armor, a picture that shows the armor of God.
Well, it was on here.
Yes, let's
and
see it.
yeah, okay. And no, and the fun thing about it is it's a watercolor. And I do the background first, and the background is done from cobweb. Halloween cobweb.
Okay.
And you could see it if they could pull the picture up. It kind of puts like this webbing in the background, and then you pour color over top of it and let it dry, and then it just kind of soaks into it.
Okay.
And it's a neat process. I use that a lot in my backgrounds on watercolor.
Sort of like a mixed media then?
Yeah, it's mixed media.
Okay. And another one of your pictures you could talk about, I'll get in here later.
Another one of my
That you brought,
pictures
yes.
that I brought, well, I did bring one. I'm not sure whether anyone's familiar with Bethel Music
Okay.
in Redding, California, but they invited me to paint on stage with Jeremy Riddle.
Okay.
And so I was able to, I got the opportunity to, as he was leading worship,
Okay.
to paint on stage with him. And that's the one with the water that Harold over here likes.
Oh, okay.
yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
How the water seemed to run down into the...
Down through it.
Yeah, and that was some type of wrench. I used to think about ink wash, but that was another way process that you shared, not being an ink wash, but
I use a spray bottle, and then it kind of runs the acrylic. You have to get the acrylic kind of wet, and you spray it, and then it'll run down.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of swoosh it, but for the water. But see, matter has memory.
yes.
And when you paint something in the presence of the Lord and in a highly anointed worship service,
Yes.
it transcends.
Yes, yes.
You know, and so people look at that painting and they just can't keep their eyes off of it because I know that they're feeling and sensing the presence of the Lord in that.
Yes.
And there's another one I've done of 2 little girls walking into the cobwebs, but I've had women just weep and cry.
Yes.
I have women weep and cry because they're looking at that painting and saying, "This just reminds me of me and my sister."
Yes, yes.
You know, so there's lots of things that art will speak to your soul and to that other things just can't.
And I like that. And even creative art, I like to write sometimes. And even though the original idea I may have when I write something, someone may read that and get something completely different, but it feeds their soul from the very same thing that I've written. I just like looking at the Bible a lot of times. That one message go out so many different ways, and everyone gets something different, but get fed from that same word. So
Because
likewise, I
it's
see that in
living.
art. Yes,
It's living.
yes, it is.
Yes, and when you paint in the presence or doing worship, it's living, and it just it just says it. It just has something about it that others don't.
It was beautiful. Those two sisters you were talking about, and the other one, a picture that you brought that we looked at today is what? Which one?
The one, it was the armor of God,
Yes,
or
the armor
no,
of God.
the other one that I brought. Oh, also it was honey. It was the Holy Spirit dripping down on people worshiping.
Yes.
Yes, and so I painted a group of people worshiping the Lord, and there was like gold honey just dripping down on top of them, which was the presence and the power of the Lord.
Yes. I like that when you mentioned about the honey, because that is something I share in some of our water meetings. So I'm talking about the health and the nature and so forth. And I stopped and asked a group once, I said, have you ever seen the word sugar in the Bible?
No, but honey.
When it referred to sweetness, it's
honey.
always honey. And honey is a very nutritious. I thought about when you talk about that painting, this painting we're looking at. This painting you're talking about dripping out. It's something about honey. It is the only food on earth that never spoils. And I learned that
Interesting.
King Tut, in his tomb, there's a jar of honey that over 3,000 years, and it's edible today.
Yeah. Wow, and it's got antibacterial properties too, doesn't it?
So there's a whole lot, even in that picture, the knowledge, what I learned about the dripping honey, and then in your picture, that you incorporated that in the honey coming down.
Yes.
Oh my God, what a blessing that is.
Yes.
Now, I was wondering too, Mr. Hodges, if we're going to bring up some of his pictures that he had shared with us.
Yeah, okay. I got 3 pictures coming up. And this one right here is where God let me to see a black president of the United States, which I thought I would never live to see. That is President Obama. I did that picture. That's acrylic that I've done. I done that in acrylic, and I done that in class. And your friend sat beside me, Laurence. We was in class together, and the teacher had us to do that. And I decided to draw the president of the United States, which I didn't. That is one of my pictures I got.
Okay, and that you drew. What you used? Was that ink or
acrylic paint?
Acrylics. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And the next picture you have there
and the next picture I have is his wife.
Okay.
Michelle Obama.
Yes.
And I did her in front of the White House.
Okay.
That is in front of the White House, and that is it show you that God is in pictures. You may not see it, but the artists see it, and then it's what he does, and that's the way I see her. It may not to other people be like her, but to me it is her, and I know it is her the way I see her.
Okay.
And this one,
next one?
And the next one coming up is I know y'all know this lady right here. Miss Rosa Parks on the bus with the officer, making her get up and give someone else her seat. But you see, what I love about Rosa Parks, there was no fighting or nothing going on. She just did it in order, but she let them know, hey, I'm not getting my seat up. Do what you got to do, but I'm not going to start no war or nothing, start no trouble. But I'm going to do it. But she did it, and she got made bump up a little bit about it. But anyway, I love the way she carries herself as a lady.
And I look at that as a center of attention there when you're talking about, and nothing else but no one. So that is a total center of the attention of the incident with just her, and we know the rest of us was full.
That's right. You know.
But the center that focused on that particular.
That's what I want you to see. To really see her and the officer together.
Exactly.
And forget about the other stuff, and just see that, and that's what I.
And that is put in acrylic? Or?
That is acrylic too. That is
all right.
Most of my pictures are acrylic. I do some water and all, and I got so they want to do now dots, and I cannot do dots because my eyes run together. To do dots, you got to really be, up to do dots because there's so many that you do to make a person.
Yeah.
But another thing, and I also could like charcoal.
Okay.
It's messy, but it's good.
Yeah.
You do charcoal, you don't have to worry about getting no paint on you, nothing. You do get a little charcoal in your hand, you will get it on you, but you just take a eraser or a pencil or something and do the drawing of the picture. That's what you do. That's where you do charcoal.
Okay. I know I seen a picture. I got a picture at home, a computer-generated picture. It's the whole book of St. John and a picture of Jesus.
Jesus, right.
And I thought about that when you were talking about the dots. I don't know if they had another picture in there for you today.
No, that's it. That's the 3 pictures that I really want to see. Sure.
All right. And then also we have Brother Morgan here today. It's some of the pictures that Brother Morgan that brought in with him today. Well, one of the first one you brought, Brother Morgan.
I bought 3 of them, and one was.
That's your car.
Oh, that's just an automobile. I'm kind of like into automobiles, and I seen that picture on top of on a calendar. So I just transferred it off, looked at it, and drew it, and painted it, and put it on a bigger picture, and hung it in the computer room.
Okay, is that the particular car of yours?
I wish. Yeah, I wish, but no, it's that was not mine. It's just a photo.
Okay, you drew it from a photo or from your mind?
I kind of like add a little stuff to it, but it was kind of like on a big calendar, like a yearly calendar, and I just liked it, so I just couldn't hang the calendar up there, so I just put it on a canvas and used acrylic paint for it. And that's the way it came out.
Okay, you have another picture for us here.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites here. I got my 2 dogs shooting pool and one under
Your
the
dog
table.
shoot pool.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, that was kind of like a conversation piece, that I drew. I kind of like shipped one to Mississippi to one of my brothers had a pool hall. And he put it on the inside, and he got a lot of comments from it when people walk in to play the pool. But that one right there, that's the biggest one, which is a pretty good sized picture, but I'm got to figure out a place to put it in the new man cave that I just made. I say man cave, but I have to be respectful and say a man cave ain't too good without a woman in it, so my wife says it's going to have to be the man and woman cave. So, but that one I'm going to hang in there.
We can't get that straight because we are going public.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next picture we have shot there for you.
Oh, now that's one of myself when I was a little kid. That was drawn with charcoal. Yeah. And in the class that I was in, we always were supposed to do a photo of ourselves when we was kids. So that's one I chose. That picture means quite a bit to me because actually that picture right there is the only picture that I have where both eyes are the same. When I was a kid, before I had an accident and lost one of them. So I kind of cherished that one to stay around for a while because that's one of the original there. That's me.
That's you.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
me. And I really enjoyed doing it after I did it. And I put that little one on the bottom down there so it would correspond with the one that I did. When I was the other was the one down there with the hat on at the bottom was a snapshot. So I just did it a larger one so, I'd be able to keep it around for a while.
So was that done in pencil, charcoal, or?
Charcoal, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and that you learned how to do the shading and all of that on your own?
Yeah.
Or?
No, a lady, the teacher, Miss Betty Bowman, which has passed away maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. She was like I said, she was a great teacher, and she kind of like showed us how to do the shading and how to fade it and all that stuff. And
using the stump pretty much the shades, some of the pictures, so forth?
Yeah. I was into it. But I learned so much from her how to do it, how to do it correctly. And that was one of the first ones that I really learned how to shade it real good, yeah.
Are there any other pictures they may have in here for you today, for Brother Morgan? Of course, I'm going to mix some more of the pictures you guys got as the show goes on. I'll edit some more of those in. Okay, but because it's some beautiful art that God has blessed each one of you to do. And you was telling me something about you were at a meeting not long ago, open air.
Oh,
Marcella?
plein air, yes.
Plein air.
I was in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and that was just about a month ago.
Okay.
And it was a whole week long with about 60 other artists from all over the country.
Okay.
And what the plein air event was is that you go out, and plein air means in open air. And so instead of painting in a studio or from a photograph, you have to go out and you have to paint what you see in front of you.
Yes.
And so it was, each day we had different ranches that we went to, or different areas of the town, or something to do like that. And it was pretty grueling, because 6,000 feet, and then we had to go up, a washboard. Do you know what a washboard road is?
Yes.
The reason they call it a washboard is because it's
Rough.
yeah, and so we're all the way up here on top of this mountain, and we're painting, and just beautiful scenes. So, and then they had a big opening for us, and there was, I think, about 300 paintings, and I was able to sell 3 paintings. So I felt very honored that someone would want to buy my paintings, especially in that environment of all those artists.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, I understand you made a sale up there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. So I was really happy with that.
So therefore, somebody appreciate good art.
Yes.
Yes.
So we do have we have plein air right now that's starting here in Dayton. There's one in Ohio and one in southern Ohio, and they're just different rounds, different places. And but we're just starting one. And next Wednesday, we're going to be at Clifton Mill painting. So if anybody out there would like to come and paint.
So is it an annual thing that take place there, or?
They can get on Facebook and look for Dayton area plein air painters.
Plein air painters.
Painters. Plein.
Okay.
AIR. Painters.
Okay. So that is interesting for someone that may be maybe not aware that this type of activities, and sometimes that's what we have to do. We don't feel the activity is there because no one tells us.
Right.
We don't have the opportunity. But there's a lot of opportunities. Like I said, sometimes I know people say, "Oh, I'm another starving artist." Well, maybe because you don't know.
That's right. It's good to be with other artists.
Exactly.
You get encouraged, you get information. I can say, what do you think about this? And from another perspective, and that's good to be with other artists.
We used to call it art critic.
Okay.
Let another artist look at it and then criticize it, to encourage you,
Yeah.
And we did the same thing, like put in our classes, they would put different objects in front of you, and you had to draw that, And one of the most challenging one that I ever did was a man in a rocking chair upside down. You look at it and you draw it. They said drawing from the left side of your brain, which was a challenge, but I did it. I mean, when I got through with it, it looked just like him upside down in the chair. But it was a great experience for me. A lot of times now, you throw stuff off and look at it. We call it
Abstract?
Abstract, abstract. You call it, and you can look at it, you can pick this side of it, this side of it. And I do a lot of them too, like abstracts. I got a lot of them that I do, like circles, squares, things, and then you look at it, you can pick a picture out of it. You might look at that and then it's something like a little rabbit with ears, or something, maybe a bear with a nose on him or something, but it's always something in an abstract that you can pick out of it. You just got to know how to do the different colors in order for it to correspond with each other. So.
That sounds like my kind of art. If I put something together and I don't know what it is, and you don't know what it is, someone will find something.
Oh, well, that's right.
Abstract art, all right.
Like throw a bucket of paint up on that wall up there to run down, and somebody pick something out of it, yeah.
It's a pick and a thought, the angle,
Yeah.
and there's another form of communication.
Yeah.
A beautiful form of communication. Now, what would you guys say to someone that not sure about their ability or that God given, like you said, you never even thought that you could draw?
That's right.
I mean, you know, some people say, I can't draw a straight line, as you said.
That's right. you really need to, when you say that and someone tell you, keep doing it, keep doing it. Don't give up. I mean, don't give up on it. Just keep doing it. It may not to you, it may not look like nothing, but to somebody else, you'd be surprised. I've seen pictures sell for thousands of dollars. To me, it don't look like nothing, but to somebody else, it looked like something.
Yeah.
And that's why I would tell anybody, if you do it, please don't stop. Keep on doing it, and it's relaxing to you. And I'm in the class with Brother Morton there. We got along. They got to a place where in the class they would call me the teacher pet. And
Did you bring an apple?
one day I did. One day I did that. Since you mentioned that, I did brought in. But she was. But they still love me too. They love me too because Morgan was a lot of help to me.
Yeah.
He was. But they did call me, talk about my pictures and everything. One they really talk about. Morgan didn't talk about it too much. But we had one lady one lady was in class and I drew this horse, and she said, "What is that?" I said, "It's a horse. What do you think it is?" She said, "Well, it got 4 legs. It looked something like a horse." I said, "If it got 4 legs, it looked something like it's a horse." But I didn't want to tell her she was right. But I said to myself, "You're not going to get my goat. It is my horse."
Well, when I look at those antiques, we was talking about the pyramids and the caves and so forth.
Yeah.
The messes they put on the walls. Some of us, even growing up in kids, what would make the little stick man and stick legs?
Stick legs, stick man.
I mean, we put a little flesh on it as we grew, or we put some clothes on it, but we're still a stick.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what it was.
What was your experience in the early part, Marcella? I know you, professional.
No, not professional yet.
Oh, of course you are. You're modest.
Well, in the beginning, you know, of course, you just kind of have to throw some of them away.
That's
My thing was, okay, it'll burn. It's all going to burn someday anyway. We might as well just throw it away and get it over with. And so, but unlike you, I've gone into some pretty significant museums, and I look there and I go, man, I threw things away that look like that.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
That's right.
But you just have to keep going. And if you have any sort of a passion at all, or a desire, or you really like art, I'd say just sign up for a class.
Yeah.
Commit yourself, you know, because if you pay for a class, you probably are going to go.
That's right.
And, you know, and you might discover that you've really got some talent, or God's going to use you through that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Like I said, it's communication.
Yeah.
And I mean, you send a picture to say something to someone.
That does.
It may not be, we compare with Leonardo da Vinci, but I'm sure when he starts, some of his early drawings didn't look like the later.
That's
Right.
But I was wondering, how many pictures do you think is drawn in a ministry that ministers story? You guys did anything that ministers story? I wrote small books and sometimes did little sketches or Bible tracts and then did some little sketching, you know.
I never did that. I mean, I've seen it done. I think I saw some you had put out that was Bible sketches, little things, verses with the sketch. So I thought it was kind of neat, but I never really did anything like that. But back to what we were saying about judging art, I've been like to art shows, museums and stuff. Like we had quite a few things in art shows, like Sinclair. And what win, you were wondering what the pen, what they getting paid to pick that pen, because it was just, like she say, I've thrown away stuff that looked better than that. But and another guy said, well, sometimes you try to be too perfect with your art. Art just ain't really just a perfect thing. Say, art really is art. It's what they make out of it or what somebody like. But the guys in the class with me, they'd always, when I draw somebody or something, you're trying to make him too perfect. You know, he looks too much like itself. You know, it's a perfect piece. So what you got to do when you do art, you just throw something together. If you want to win.
That's like a caricature. Huh?
Yeah, so that's actually what was going on. At most of the places that I went, the ones that gets the prize for the work, I kind of like wonder why. But you know, sometimes that could discourage you, but it never discouraged me because I just really, like I say, when I did my artwork, I was doing my artwork, I wasn't trying to get paid for it. What I was trying to do, it was such of a peaceful thing to do, you know, your mind, your test of the brain and all that. It just was relaxing for me. I'd sooner do one, if somebody like it, well, just take it, you know. Tell us, oh, you got to give me $40 for this, you know. But I never felt like it like that because I be blessed so many ways with God about anything. Most of the time I do things for people. It always, like they say, come back double fold to me. You know, in some kind of way I get a blessing from doing what I do with it. The ones that I have gave away, I have been offered the money for them, but you know, I just always felt like if it didn't cost me nothing, why should I go try to make a big profit off of it? Yeah, so.
Well, you know, parallel, I tell a lot of people, even when I was doing the writer's workshop, you should never feel bad about getting something for what God has blessed you to do.
Yeah.
Number one, I know personally, it calls for contique. It calls for charcoal.
Yeah.
It calls for art supplies, acrylics,
Yeah.
and so forth. It does cost.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, in parallel, I've had people in the literature said, "Well, I just thank God and He blessed me to do this and share it."
Mm-hmm.
But you're not overbearing because when you're blessed with a monetary, it gives you the ability to share even more.
Right.
To buy any more, to express yourself even more. So don't feel bad about that. If someone want to pay you for it, receive it.
Yeah.
And the blessing continue. And you can develop even more your skill, even more training. All of these things work together for the good. Because God blesses us with the gift. But I say it so often, and a lot of times, even I was listening to the parallels, I was thinking in my mind is running about other arts and the literature arts. So many times people would throw away works they thought was no good.
Right.
Or even in songwriting, I've heard of a big songwriter, Dave Clark, on show us one time, and they talk about the item, the song that they thought was no good, and they actually hit the whack. It was one of the greatest pieces of music that ever went to the top of the charts.
Yeah.
On the other hand, something they thought was going to be a bombshell
That's right.
never hit
Never got
the
off.
charts.
Yeah.
So we must realize God has a different eye in us than any of us would even believe.
Yeah.
And the talent, what God placed in us. We should not. I mean, and I often mention to some in counsel, some of the young people I talk to that feel a little disgruntled about life and themselves. I said, do you really love that person in the mirror? Now, I know Michael Jackson wrote that song, but I said, do you really look at that mirror? When you learn to love that person in the mirror,
Yeah.
then you can pass it on.
That's
Right.
Because the Word of God said, love your neighbor as yourself. If you don't know how to love yourself,
That's
Yeah.
right.
how can you love your neighbor?
That's right. Yeah.
So the sharing and the love, even in art, writing, whatever it is a ministry. I guess that's one of the main reasons the Lord wants us to do this subject today.
Yeah.
That we must realize what God has placed in our life is no junk. There was a little picture in the back of my mind. Someone had drew a picture of a little boy, and he said he was no junk or something like that, but God don't make no junk.
Yeah.
I'm worth something,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything, even to the tiny snowflake that falls.
Yeah.
My understanding, every last one of them have a different pattern.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And doesn't look alike. Do you think we're all going to look alike,
Right.
write alike, draw alike?
That's
Yeah.
right.
But the uniqueness of the blessing is that we are different.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Beautiful is there's someone, I just tell the writers, look, for 100 people around your home that read your work that can't stand it, there's another 1,000 out there would love it.
That's right. Yeah.
So we should not give up on what God has blessed us with. But I think I know we should cherish it. enjoy it.
Joy.
Yeah.
And so many, being a minister pastor, I can't help but think of scripture.
Yeah.
When they talk about the one that had one talent,
That's
and the
right.
other
Yeah,
one,
right.
he wanted to
Yeah.
bury it because he didn't think it was very much. And he said, I unfaithful servant. Yeah, you. I give you one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you want used what I've given you.
Yeah.
He can multiply and add when we use what God has given us.
That's right.
I hate to springboard on this. I was talking to one about the anniversary not long ago, and God put in my heart so much. And for the past few months, He's been put in our heart. When God sent the children of Israel manna,
Yeah.
it wasn't like going to the smorgasbord.
no.
It wasn't ready, and you go get it up on a buffet line.
Right.
But it was something like hordes of, I guess, like with the frost that landed on the grass in the morning.
Yeah.
They had to gather it.
That's
They had to cook it like potato, whatever, or like grits or something. Now, only way I can explain it.
Yeah.
But it was from God, and it would
That's right.
sustain them.
Oh, yeah.
And likewise, I was sharing also when He sent quail.
That's right.
It wasn't no quail roasted on a plate with garlic and pepper and onions.
Sure wasn't.
They had to take the quail, had to feather it, they had to clean it. A lot of people don't know what that is today. They had to clean it, they say gut it,
Yeah.
season it, but yet He provided
Sure did.
quail.
Yeah.
He provided a pencil, pen, chalk, art
Yes.
to His glory to use you, His artist,
Yeah. Yeah.
on the canvas that He's prepared for you to share with others.
That's right.
Isn't it a great God? Look at
It
the
is.
canvas of the world He has prepared for us.
That's right.
And then go flying on an airplane, look back at the earth. Oh, isn't that a beautiful canvas?
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my
yes,
goodness! I'm talking
indeed.
about I
Especially
like,
now with all the colors.
Oh my God, yes. I used to love to fly above the clouds and look at like pillars you're gonna walk on. But sometimes it's good to fly a little low when you get to see all the beauty,
Oh, yeah.
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 the beauty in God creation.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I sit there and wonder how in the world this big plane is up in this air and moving. But yeah, oh boy, I just say my wife, she's good now. She's scared of flying, but she will not sit side no window. So, but I love to sit side the window so I can look out really. And like you say, when you get above the clouds, seems like you just can reach out
And walk on the
sit
cloud.
and walk. That's it.
But you know the beauty in that, and I love to bring all these things together. Do you know the Wright brothers?
Yeah.
People try to forget about these things, but I like to bring it to forefront.
That's right.
Do you know that their dad was a pastor and a bishop?
Yes,
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yep, sure did.
And some even thought that older women might become ministers. I'm showing the part of God in all of the things. We may overlook it.
Right.
The regular secular book may overlook it. But when you be finding the lifestyles of some of these men that are artists and done great things,
Right.
find God at the root of it.
Even
yeah.
inventors.
Yes.
Right. Oh,
There's
yes.
several inventors that have had dreams.
Yes.
And they've gotten up and
That's right.
I think Einstein was one of them that
Yeah, oh man,
And-
I did a picture of him.
and there's several inventors that have gotten dreams, and that's all part of creativity too.
Yes, it is.
You know, so it just doesn't necessarily mean that you pick up a pencil and you can draw. It's tapping into what God is doing
That's
here
right.
on earth
That's right.
and
Yeah.
partnering with Him
Yes.
so that you can make, make an invention, make a tool, make something that's a lot easier for mankind.
Yes.
Right.
It is all from God.
It
Oh,
is
yeah.
from God.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yes.
where they
Right.
mess up.
Yes.
It's when it's from God. You know that the two guys that got empowered by the Holy Spirit in Exodus that you were reading.
Yes.
One was from the tribe of Judah, and the other was from the tribe of Dan.
Yes.
And Dan went towards idols, and Judah was all about praise.
Yes.
You know, and that's why I think that even in the creativity, you see two streams.
Yes.
Right.
You see the godly stream,
Oh,
and you
yes.
see the dark stream,
Right.
and the idol stream. And I encourage my painters to really tap into what God is doing.
That's right.
Right.
Because if you can tap into what God is doing and bring it down into a picture, it can bring ministry just
yeah,
as
yeah.
music,
That's
as
right.
the word, as praying for people.
But you know something, the beautiful thing about it, and I know we're at the end of the show, but do you know God does not take back his gift.
You
No.
don't.
Even those that went through the idol and on Judah, he gifted all good and perfect gifts come from above.
Yes.
Yeah.
They may take it and do it corruption and do it wrongfully. They don't
But
take it
it's
back,
still
but he
from
give
him.
us a choice.
That's right.
Right.
Yes,
you got
it's
that
still from
choice.
him.
It's from him. And there was nothing made that was made.
Oh.
Oh God, I want to start
Right.
preaching. But we're on our last part, and I told you we'll go quickly tonight.
Yeah.
So we're going to let each one of you summarize what you want to share about art, and some of the things we shared, and some things you might didn't get a chance to share. And don't forget to give how to get in touch with you.
Okay.
That someone may want to commission or call upon you for one reason. I learned something at the table here myself about art and the different things you might know, but you don't know how they start. So don't hold back. When you have something you share now, I said, share it. Someone needs to know what you know. God bless.
Okay, well, we have at the Vineyard on Thursday nights, for the first 3 Thursdays of the month, we have an open studio. And it starts at 6:30 to 8:30, and I just invite any kind of artists to come, and it's a great way to just hang out with other artists, hang out with each other. We pray for each other. We've become kind of like a really small knit group. And we care for each other, and I like to invite anybody who would like to come, that even if you don't do, I've had people come and sit there and pay their bills because the presence of God is just so thick that they just want to be there. And so that's on Thursday nights at the Dayton Vineyard. That's 4051 Indian Ripple Road, and you can call me, Marcella Rowe, at 937-559-8795, and I'd be glad to meet you there and help you get, acquainted to other artists.
Praise God. Sound like a ministry.
I say, and you know me, I'm Hodge. You can reach me at 268-6505. And we meet at Princeton Park every Friday at 9 o'clock. This art class. We do not have a teacher, but we teach each other.
Is that 9 a.m. or p.m.?
9 a.m.
Okay.
9 a.m. every Friday.
All right.
And you're welcome to come. We teach each other how to draw.
Okay. And you said you had a phone number as well?
Yeah, phone number is 268-6505.
All right. Brother Morgan.
I'm Laurence Morgan, and I just really have enjoyed doing artwork across the pastime life that that I'm living now. It's just such an inspiration in order to do it, and it's kind of comfort to the mind and gives me a sight of what God had created and what God had put instilled in me about art. I know it all come from Him, because now that I reached and got that personal relationship with Him, I try to live my life daily according to the way He wants me to live it. So I feel like as long as I do that, anything I look at or anything I decide to draw, anything I attempt to draw, He's going to be in the midst of it, and I will be able to be successful at it. So, and if anybody needs any, say, free art, my number is 937-522-1929.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Marvin to come back to a class.
All right.
In the class.
That sounds great.
No, I'm not sure about that number. It's 937-522-1329.
1329.
Yeah.
All right. Great. And we thank God, each of my guests. We thank you for coming and sharing and with your art and sharing your stories that briefly and open the door to help others in the field of art. You there at home now, praise God, you have to search, ask God. You might not think you can draw a line like Brother Hodge here, but you don't know until you make that first step or that first mark. And remember, art is a ministry.
Yeah. That's it.